Hi, this is John from betterdonyourself.com, and today on the web episode we're going to make some Whole30 compliant beef jerky. If you're a regular subscriber to this channel, you've probably seen my other beef jerky making video where we used a slightly less compliant recipe. Today we're going to use just spices, just a little bit of salt, and some beef to make a delicious snack for those of you that are trying out the Whole30 diet. So what we're going to do is grind this beef up, mix it in with the spices, spread it out on some dryer sheets, dry it in a dehydrator, cut it up, and then we'll have a nice beef jerky snack. Let's look at how we're going to do this. First of all, we need to grind this up and get the spices mixed in. So to do that, I'm going to employ a 3/4 horsepower beef grinder, meat grinder from Cabela's. I'll have the links below so you can look one of these up and see if you want to purchase one. If you don't want to buy one of these, find yourself some organic ground beef and pick up the video there where we're actually just mixing the ingredients together. But I'm starting from a slab of meat and my favorite grinder here. First thing we want to do is get the meat cut up into strips that'll fit in the grinder. I'm going to take some of this fat off, but I'm not going to worry about getting it all completely off. Next, we'll put together the grinder. I'm going to start with a fairly large die just to grind the meat and get it ready, because we're going to grind it twice. I don't want to pass all the meat through the finer die that I'm going to use for the finished grinding. So we'll start with the bigger one and we'll finish with the little one. Nice thing about these, they come with a remote foot switch, and it frees up your hands from having to use the switch. Now that we've got the initial grind done, we can go ahead and add the seasonings. So what we'll start out with is 2 tablespoons of salt for 4 pounds of meat. You can adjust your recipe accordingly. Two teaspoons of onion powder. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of celery seed. This is ground celery seed. This is not celery salt. This is Szechuan pepper. I'm going to use about a half teaspoon of this stuff. It's not, let's use a teaspoon. You can find this on Amazon. It's got a real nice bite to it. It's not hot like hot pepper. The reason why I cut down on my salt a little bit for this recipe is because I'm going to add a teaspoon of salish, which is a smoked salt. And then finally, some paprika. I guess 1 teaspoon. Let's get ready to do the final grind. Let's replace the dye. Stir the spices in. They'll actually get quite well incorporated during the second grinding here. Next step of the jerky making is to spread the meat out on something that we can get into the oven. These are silicone baking sheets. They're nice to spread the meat out because they can peel the finished product off of the silicone real easy. It's real slippery. Lacking these, you can just use a sheet of aluminum foil. For something this size, what works best is about 2 cups of our ground meat. And then spread this out. And then with a rolling pin, get it as evenly flat as possible. It's not going to cooperate, but you are the master of your food. Just a light touch, and you can get it to do what you want. Try to get it as even as possible. You want an even thickness all the way across, and that way it's going to dry at the same rate. If you've got thick spots, you're going to have places where the meat hasn't dried completely. I like to have nice tidy edges on it, again, just because you don't want crisp edges on your meat. You want it all to be consistently dry. If this starts to stick, see what's happening? Everything is sticking. There's a layer of grease on here. There's a layer of fat on here that's causing trouble. I'm going to wash this with hot water and then cold water, and it's going to give me the release that I'm looking for. You want to put the meat in your oven at the lowest setting with the door propped open slightly, or you want to put it into your dehydrator at about 110, 120 degrees. until the meat will bend without breaking and is still quite pliable. But we'll have a look at it in a minute once we're a little further along in the process. Keep the dehydrator down in the basement just because of the noise that the fans make. I'll come down in a couple of hours and peel the meat off the silpats and then put the meat back in just on the racks, and that way the meat can dry on both sides evenly. I don't want to leave the silpats in there because then I'm going to have a real tough side and a real wet side. So it's better if I can get the silpats out of there as soon as possible. Okay, now that the meat's been about halfway dry here, I can easily get it off the silpat, and you can see it's pretty well cooked. So at this point, what we can do is cut it into strips and lay it back down on the rack without the silpat. Easiest thing to use is just a plain old pizza cutter. You can cut it into your favorite jerky-sized strips here. I'm using a plastic pizza cutter. If you're using a metal pizza cutter, make sure you've got a board underneath and protect your countertop. And then here we'll just put it right on the drying rack, cooked side down. Okay, so just do that for the other sheets and back into the dehydrator or back into your oven. See you in a little bit. Okay, here's the finished product. We're done. It's a little curled because this was the first side that we dried. This was the second raw side that we peeled off of the foil sheets or the silpats. If you like, you can just take a paper towel and dab off a little of the extra fat if you don't want that on there, or you can leave it. But from here, just take all your beef jerky, put it in a zip top bag, and stick this in the fridge. This is not real shelf stable. We didn't use a lot of salt. Remember, we only used 2 tablespoons of salt for 4 pounds of meat. If you want to make something that's going to be more shelf stable, you're going to have to use more salt. Depends on your taste. You can experiment. This is good. Just keep this in the fridge, and you can reach for this anytime you need a quick protein boost or a little bit of a snack if you're not making it through the afternoon. Enjoy. Thanks for watching.